Alright guys, good morning. Welcome back sa ating channel and welcome back for another lecture on our field Criminology. No? So today we are going to be discussing a new topic on the subject security management. So this will be in the form of review only. No? You didn't expect that this will be like an hour long discussion, but only just a recap on what are the concept of security management. No? So we're doing this to help those who are preparing for their licensure examination for criminologists, no? Soon this year, no? So if you want more, no, kung gusto niyo ng marami pang topic, no, ng marami pang lecture, subscribe kayo sa ating channel at marami pa tayong mga i-upload at marami na tayong mga na-upload na pwedeng makatulong sa inyong pagre-review. Okay? So for today's topics, we have here the following, no. So we have the introduction to security. We have to discuss also the nature of security. We have to discuss also the unsecured condition and areas and types of security, security hazards, and the principle of security. So those are our topic for this session. So the first thing that we should discuss is, of course, we need to define what is security. No? In its simply as a term, security refers to the state of being secured or having freedom from fear or danger. So there are things that are considered as a risk, in our surroundings, in our environment. Yung mga properties natin are vulnerable to some sort of risk, and as well as our person. 'Di ba tayo bilang isang tao, ay we are also vulnerable of becoming a victim of a crime. So here comes now the security, the concept of security wherein ang pinaka-function niya is, of course, to secure, to provide safety, for everyone, for us as a human being and our properties also. So as you all know, the concept of security management does not revolve only on security guard, something like that. We want to relate the topic on security also to the field of law enforcement. Kasi aside from the law enforcement function, yung pagpatupad ng batas na ginagawa ng ating kapulisan, one of their responsibility also is to provide security for the general populace. So, by doing some crime prevention act, yung mga crime prevention program, ang kanilang main goal doon is, of course, to prevent the crime, to prevent the commission of crime, which means they are going to secure or help in securing those vulnerable individuals, yung mga possible victim, and as well as the properties of everyone. So isa rin sa pinaka-function ng ating mga law enforcement is yung pag-provide natin ng security. Yung pagbigay ng security alone does not only revolve in security guards. Kasi baka iniisip natin when we talk about security management, that's most likely for security guards. No. To understand it better, di ba, we have the concept of routine activity theory, yung theory that discusses the three actors on the existence of criminality, and we can also relate that to doon sa tinatawag nating crime triangle, which illustrate what are the possible elements or what are the established elements that if they coexist together, with the other elements, crime will happen. So we have, like, for example, on the crime triangle, we have the opportunity, we have the instrumentation, and we have the motive or intent. So if there's an intent or motive and it just so happened na meron din siyang capability, and the instrumentality, ibig sabihin may mga gagamitin siyang mga instrument in order for him to manifest yung kanyang mga criminal intent, only thing that is left is, of course, to look for opportunity for him to commit the crime. And if there's opportunity, then there is or there will be crime, together with all the elements that were previously discussed. So doon sa routine activity theory, we made mention that there are three actors in the existence of criminality. Meron tayong mga tatlong participants bago mag-exist ang crime, such as we have the, of course, the suitable target, no, motivated offender, no, the motivated offender, that is the criminal, the perpetrator, no, and the suitable target, that is the victim, and the balancing actor is the guardian, no, yung mga guardianship. Okay, so where does the concept of security comes in the routine activity theory? No, it will comes in on providing security to the would-be victim. No? So if there is a strong security, ibig sabihin meron tayong suitable guardian, no, in existence, a suitable target cannot be victimized. Like for example, somebody wanted to enter into your house, no, gusto nilang pasukin yung bahay mo, no, for the sake of taking those valuable things with them, no, nanakawan kanila. It just so happened, no, of course, tignan natin yung routine activity. Una, is there a motivated offender? In the case that I just mentioned, meron, kasi nga meron yung taong nagbabalak, no, na pag nakawan ka, no, so he is a motivated offender, no. A suitable target, no, probably based on the criteria on selecting how based on the criteria on how perpetrators select their victims, it seems that your house is a suitable target for them, based on their criteria. So we have the two actors, no, you as the victim, the perpetrator as the motivated offender. What is left, no, the balancing actor, sabi ko nga, that decides whether there will be crime committed or there will be none, no, will be the guardian, no, and guardian can be anything. Like for example, meron kang in-employ na security guard, no, or security personnel to protect your properties, no, so he is a guardian. Bystander, may mga tao doon na tambay na kung saan is pwede na lang makita yung pagnanakaw at pwede silang tumulong sa pag-protect sa yung properties in case it will be the target of criminals, so they are also considered as guardian, no. Or hindi naman kaya, there are police officers or barangay tanods patrolling within the area, no? So they are all considered as guardian. Whether or not crime will be committed depends upon the capability of the guardian of assisting or providing security to your properties to the suitable target, no. So that is where the concept of security comes in. Doon papasok ang security, na kung saan siya yung magbabalance whether or not yung crime will be committed or it will be not. Okay? Now, we have here the nature of security. So we have several types of security based on the nature. We have yung tinatawag nating passive security or passive measure, and we have also yung active measure na tinatawag. Passive measures, ito yung types of security wherein the reason why people don't commit crime is because of the deterrence factor, no? So yung deterrence factor sometimes inhibit one person to commit a crime, such as for example, the imposition of penalty, no? Kung alam nilang mapaparusahan sila, mahuhuli sila, no? Yung concept na tinatawag natin crime does not pay. If they know that they will not get away from their criminality, then therefore they will be dismayed to commit their crime, no? Parang kung nanakawan ko to, what are the chances na mahuli ako, something like that. So there's that deterrence factor, no? Such as for example the existence of police officers within the area, no, could be a deterrence factor kasi alam niyang baka mahuli siya. Or this the imposition of the laws that we have, no, kung alam nila na lahat ng mga nagnanakaw ay napapatawan ng karampatang parusa, then they will never or they will not push through with their crime because they of course want to assure themselves that the benefit that they will derive from their criminal action will be much more than that of the pain that they will receive, no? So that's the concept of deterrence. So if they're being deterred, no, kung natatakot sila kasi nga alam nilang stricto ang pagpapatupad ng batas, no, hahanapin sila, so that could be a passive measure, no, to make those possible criminal inhibit from pursuing their criminal intention. No? Then we have also the concept of security education. No? So the much more security education is being provided for the general public. No? Much more that we will be aware with regards to the different security risks. No? For example, they know, no, kung ano yung mga iiwasan nila, ano yung mga hindi nila dapat gawin, then they will be much more security conscious, correct? No? So if you're a security conscious individual, no, lesser potential that you will be a victim or you will fall as a victim of crime. Okay? Then that's for the passive. No? What about dun sa tinatawag nating active measures? No? So yung mga active measure, ito yung talagang nakikita natin ng mga strategies or security measures that they are doing in order to actively prevent the existence of criminality, such as the installation of physical barrier. No? Yung physical barrier, pasok dyan yung mga walls, no? Gates, no? Grills, no? Something like that. So yung mga physical barrier na kung saan the very purpose of physical barrier is to delay the intrusion, no? Para hindi agad-agad mapasok or makuha yung property, mapasok yung bahay mo, no? Something like that. So those are physical barriers. We have also the concept of lighting, no? Ang lighting, yung pagpapailaw sa paligid, makes it hard for the criminals to hide from the view of the guardians, from possible guardians, no? So yun, that is also used for the purpose of securing the area, no? So the installation of lighting, no, security lighting is also considered as an active measure. CCTV included din yan. We have also the use of locks, no, yung pagkakandado ng mga properties mo, ng bahay mo, ng sasakyan mo, ng mga security locks, something like that, are also considered as an active measure. Okay, so those are the nature of security being provided, no, under the concept of security management. So we have the passive, no, and we have the active measure. Okay, so what are the different unsecured conditions that we are protecting our properties and ourselves from? No, ano yung mga dapat nating, ano yung kalaban natin with regards to security? So we have, 4 types of unsecured conditions here. Now we have yung tinatawag nating threats, now we have the hazards, we have the vulnerability, and risk. No? So in dealing with security management, we always deal with the 4 conditions that we just mentioned. We have, for example, threats. Now, our keyword there is like the word activities. So ano yung threats? These are activities that could pose a potential risk, no? That could pose a potential harm to a person or to a property. No? So for example, the existence of robbery. No? So if you're living, for example, in an environment na prone ang commission of crime, like maraming case ng robbery, no, maraming case ng assault, no, homicide, something like that. So being in that place, no, is already considered as a threat, kasi there is a possibility that you will become a victim of a crime, no, because you live in that place, no? So those are threats. With regards to hazards naman kasi, sa hazards or condition, no? Usually, like for example, natural condition, like there will be typhoon, may mga typhoon, or di kaya naman is yung may mga natural disaster, something like that. So those are considered as hazards, no? And what else? For example, the increase of criminality within the area, that is a hazardous condition, no? So ibig sabihin, kapag tumataas yung crime rate within the area, tumataas din yung chances mo bilang isang tao or chances ng property mo, no, to fall as a victim of criminality. So when we talk about conditions that pose potential risk, no, to you, no, as a person and to your properties, yun yung tawag natin is hazards, no? Accidents are also included here, like for example yung sunog, no, hindi kaya pambobomba, something like that. So those are all hazardous conditions. No? We have also the vulnerability. When we talk about vulnerability, it refers to the weakness of one person to become a victim of criminality, or the weakness of property, no, against criminality. Like for example, na yung bahay mo is can be accessed easily, madaling pasukin. So your property has a lot of vulnerability, which means that if he has a lot of vulnerability, he is prone to victimization. So yung sasakyan mo madaling manakaw, 'di ba? Meron tayong mga sasakyan na sira yung mga windows na kung saan is madaling pasukin. May mga bahay tayo na sira yung mga locks, no? Those are all vulnerabilities. These are weaknesses, no? Weaknesses of the property, no? And makes them easy victim of criminality. Madaling pasukin, madaling nakawan, no? Something like that. Those are all vulnerability. So nagkakaroon tayo ng vulnerability assessment when we are trying to assess whether or not a certain person or a certain facility is potential victim, will fall as a potential victim for criminality. So those are under vulnerability. No? So we have also the risk. No? We always talk about risk. So what is that? Risk pertains to the potential damage, no? Of a certain object, of certain thing, no? Does it pose a higher risk, no? If for example the installation is weak, no? It's very vulnerable. Napaka-vulnerable ng property mo to fall as a victim of crime, no? So it follows also that the risk will also increase, no? If the person is very vulnerable to criminality, then he is more prone to security risk na tinatawag. Mas mataas ang vulnerability, mas mataas din ang possibility that you will fall as a victim. And that possibility of becoming a victim of a crime is actually considered as the risk, no? Risk level of one person. Okay? So, that is with regards to the unsecured condition. Now, let's talk about the major areas, no? What are the major areas of security? Now, when we talk about security, what are we securing specifically? No, ano ba yung mga sinesecure natin? Ano ba yung mga areas na kung saan kailangan natin mag-provide ng security? So we have here three, no? Physical security, no? Personal security, document and information security. So for physical security, that involves all our properties and yung mga properties natin, like for example, yung sasakyan mo, yung bahay mo, no? Yung farm mo, no? Yung business mo. These are all physical security. Wherein, what we are protecting actually are the physical objects, no? Yung mga valuable objects natin that has value, no? Yung mga may mga halaga para sa atin. Like for example, bahay mo, no? So if you are providing security for your house, that is considered as an area of security which is focused on physical security. Kasi may object ka dito, no? Na pwedeng na may object dito that has value and could be the target of criminals. So what are you going to do to secure that? That is all under the concept of physical security. No, you secure a certain object properties, no? That is under the concept of physical security. For personnel, well, tayo, sabi ko nga, bilang isang tao, of course, sabi nga nila, no, ng buhay ang pinakamahalaga sa lahat. So, that is also why there is the so-called personal security, because we, as a human being, should be also protected, shall be also secured against any other types of risk, no, or security breach na tinatawag. So, for example, I'm walking down the road, no? And there are possible criminals out there looking, observing my everyday activities so that they could situate that pwede nila ang pagsamantalahan yung vulnerabilities ko. No? So, my life is precious, your life is precious. That's why we have the so-called personal security. Kaya meron tayong mga VIP, no? Yung mga very important persons, security being provided for them, no? Because they are on special person, no? They are well-known person and they need to be secured also, like for example the president, the politicians, something like that. Other personnels that has by virtue of their job or profession or status in life, no? Makes them prone to become a victim of criminality. Sila yung binibigyan natin ng mga personal security. The securing the type of security that is focused on securing the life, of course, and the health of one person. no? Personal security yan. Aside from our properties and ourself, no? Meron din tayong mga informations or documents that are very important to us, no? That need to be secured, no? Like for example, confidential information, no, of the government, confidential information of your business, no, confidential information about you yourself, no, sa mga personal matters mo. Kailangan din i-secure yan. For example, uh, um, your birth certificate. Let's make that as an example. No? So your birth certificates could not be accessed by just anyone. No? Kasi kung ma-access yan ng kahit sino, we are prone to the so-called identity theft. No? Pwede nilang kunin yung mga information mo, pwede nilang nakawin yung identity mo if they have a hold on your personal information. So these are also under document security. No? In our today's situation, di ba, we are very talagang sobra tayong gumamit ng social media, no? And when we are logging in, when we are signing in into this different website, we tend to provide some information, no? So how are those information being secured, no? Yung mga binibigay mo bang personal information sa mga websites are also secured, no? That also includes, like for example, yung access code mo for your bank accounts, no? And your financial accounts, no? Those things should also be secured, no? Kasi they are as equal, no? Equivalent sila doon sa mga properties mo, physical properties mo din, no? For example, bahay mo, no? You need to secure that, but you forget to secure about your financial accounts, no? So, yeah, you might have secured your physical security, your properties, but you tend to forget that equal din ang value ng mga documents and information natin in terms of damage, no? So, halimbawa, marami kang pera sa bangko, no? Hindi mo nabigyan ng security yung yung mga information mo relevant to that. They were able to access your personal information. They were able to get hand of your passwords and something like that, no? So they have access to your bank accounts and something like that. So equal ang value kumbaga ng mga ito. So you should not just be focused on securing your physical properties, your person, no? Your information is equal also, especially in today's world that ang information, no, and documents are matatawag natin that we are on the information era, now wherein information ang pinakamahalaga, isa sa pinakamahalagang aspect of our life, no? Okay, so that is with regards to the different areas that security is focused into: physical, personal, and document security. Okay, then we have here the different types of security, no? Marami tayong uri, no? These are just some of them, no? Something might have not been included. Actually, I forgot to include yung mga tinatawag nating social media security, no? Wherein it focuses more on preventing each and every individual to become a victim of cybercrime, no? Cybercrime security included din dapat yun, no? So, for now, let's just talk about industrial, school security, VIP security, and personal security. For industrial, no, industrial security, saklaw na nito lahat ng mga businesses natin, ng different social institution, no, since they are all considered as industries, no. Like for example, your companies, no, ano ba yung ginagawa mo in order for you to secure your businesses, no? So that is all under the industrial security. Lahat yan, mga business, no? Corporation, something like that, they are also being secured. Like for example, malls, no? Mall security, part of that is a part of the so-called industrial security, wherein the focus is much more on the day-to-day activities inside the business institution, no? So bakit tayo may different types of security? It's because, no, when we are trying to provide security measures, when we are trying to create a security program, no, the program should depend upon what type of security it is, no. Syempre iba yung security na i-apply mo for industries, iba naman sa school, iba sa VIP, iba sa personal security. So that is why we have the classification. Para nang sa ganun, yung approach natin is much more uh, relevant to the needs of the security. No? So industrial, let's focus on businesses, industry, something like that. No? For school, no, from the word itself, school security, no. So, 'di ba, marami tayong mga cases ngayon na kung saan is nagkakaroon tayo ng security breach doon sa school wherein some personnel or some students, some visitors are being victimized of criminals inside the school premises, no. So, school security talks about the security being applied in different schools, whether that's public or private, tertiary, secondary, or elementary level, no, may mga iba't ibang uri tayo dyan. And of course, who are being secured? No, ano ba yung sinesecure under school security? No, of course, the employee, no, but the most priority is the security of the students inside, no, the facilities, the different facilities inside the school, such as school properties, school buildings, something like that, no, and of course, the visitors. Yun yung concept naman ng school security, no. For VIP security, I made mention it kanina sa personal security. The focus of VIP security is providing security for those very important persons. The VIP stands for very important persons. Like, for example, persons that are prone to security risk because of their profession. Like, for example, he is a lawyer, he is a judge, no? He is a politician, no? As a businessman, or di kaya those that are at potential risk because of their status in life, like kilala sila, sikat sila, well-known sila, no? Those are being provided with VIP security. Sila yung mga binibigyan natin ng VIP security, no? Then also we have here the personal security, which is, for example, I'm just an ordinary person but I have threats on my life, like may mga nagbabanto sa akin, and I have some may mga potential criminal that would target me as a person, no? So I might want to hire some personal security, no, yung mga bodyguards mo, something like that. So yeah, not VIP but just for your personal advantage, like yeah, kailangan kong may bodyguard ako para halimbawa is may magtangka sa akin, is may mag-protect sa akin. So that is the concept of personal security. Okay? Then we talk about security hazards, no? Ano ba yung security hazards? Security hazards refers to the condition, act or condition that results to security breach, no? And subsequent loss to personal properties and facilities. So we made mention kanina what are the conditions that we are protecting ourselves and our properties to, like for example vulnerability, hazards, no, risk, no, something like that. Now let's talk about security hazards. Ano ba yung pinaka-focus ng security hazards, no? Security hazards, dito natin ina-assess yung mga potential actions or conditions na pwedeng makapagbigay sa atin ng security breach, no? Pag sinabi natin security breach, ibig sabihin that the security bubble that being provided to you as a person or to a property is being broken, no? Na breach, napasok, like for example bank, no? So yung bank napasok ng magnanakaw, napasok ng criminal, no, na nanakawan, something like that. So there is a security breach, no? Kumbaga nabutasan yung kanilang security bubble, no? So, what are those conditions, no? Ano yung mga conditions na mga yon, no? So, we call all of them as security hazards, no? Yung mga possible conditions or actions that could break the security, no, are known as security hazards, okay? So, there are different types of security hazards, no? We have here human hazards and we have natural hazards, no? Sa human hazards or man-made hazards, no? Hazards that are caused by human actions, such as, for example, criminality, that is a human hazard, no? Criminality, yung intentional, like for example, intentional setting of fire, no? Sinunog nila yung business mo. Of course, that is also human hazards, no? What else? Yung mistake of the personnel, no, yung pagkakamali ng mga personnel doon sa isang area, like for example that is a business, no, may pagkakamali, for example, yung mga security guards doon, that is also considered as human hazards. No? So human hazards are security hazards that are created by human actions, no? By human being, no? Themselves. For natural, no? Natural hazards, ito yung mga hazards caused by natural phenomenon. Like for example, yes, your properties being secured, no? Very secured properly. But then, nagkaroon tayo ng typhoon, no? Parang binagyo, binaha, sinira yung facilities mo. So, the security was breached, but that is not caused by human action. Rather, it is caused by natural phenomenon. Like, for example, typhoon, earthquake, no? Flood, no? Something like that. So, these are all considered naman as natural hazards. There's a way for us to secure our properties and our person against natural hazards, no? May mga ginagawa naman tayong paraan dyan. And also, there's a way for us on how we provide security against human hazards. So, point here is that you just don't focus on what type of hazard alone, on one type of hazards. Baka mamaya ang focus mo lang is human hazards, no? Ginawa mo ng lahat ng pwede mong gawin para nang sa ganun hindi mapasok ng magnanakaw yung property mo, no? Hindi magkaroon ng problema within the personnel, no? Walang trumidor sa iyo within the inside the institution, something like that. But no, you forgot to protect yourself against natural calamities, then still magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng breach, no? Magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng security breach na tinatawag natin. Then as a result, no, there will be potential risk, no? So that's the concept. That's why we are discussing the kinds of security hazards, so that we know where to focus our effort in providing security. Don't just provide security against human hazards. Now, don't just provide security against criminals, but also try to provide security against natural calamities. No? Okay? Then we have line of defense. No? In physical security, no, we have so-called line defense, no, physical defense, and so on. So, in providing security to a certain property, to a certain person, meron tayong tinatawag nating line of defense. No? Ano ba yung mga line of defense? No? So, we have first line, second line, and third line. No? Actually, you can extend that up. Depende kung gaano mo kagustong i-secure yung isang property, so you can extend it further. No? So, first line of defense, yan yung mga walls, barriers, no, na ginagawa natin. For example, bahay mo to, no? Nagpatayo ka ng gate, so yung first line of defense mo is gate, no? If on the first line alone hindi na nila ma-access, then that would deter criminals from pursuing with their crime. Na like for example, gusto nilang pagnakawan yung bahay mo, no? Pero yung wall pa lang is very secured na, mataas, or hindi naman kaya is may mga obstacles na ginawa para nang sa ganun is hindi sila magkaroon ng access immediately to your properties. So yung mga facilities or installations na buildings na ginawa mo for the purpose of denying entry against possible offenders are so-called first line of defense, no? Yung mga gates, walls, and the like, barriers, no? Barriers and so. So sa barriers kasi guys, meron tayong natural, meron tayong mga man-made barriers, like for example, man-made yung walls, no? That's man-made. Physical natural barriers, so like for example, bago sila makapunta sa bahay mo, kailangan nilang tumawid ng malawak na ilog, no? Or hindi kaya is kailangan nilang maglakad ng malawak na open field, no? So physical barriers yun, but that is like a natural barrier, something like that, no? So first line of defense yan. Let's say for example, they were able to access, no, na lampasan nila yung first line of defense, no? Dapat meron ka pa rin tinatawag natin second line of defense. Right? For example, the second line of defense is much more on doors, windows, walls, something like that. No? For example, napasok nila yung gate mo. No? So, papunta na sila ngayon doon sa bahay mo. Ngayon, bago nila mapasok yung bahay mo, kung may mga nilagay ka doon ng mga second line of defense, such as for example, meron kang locks, no? May mga locks ka, security locks, no? Yung windows mo may grills, no? And then you have CCTV, something like that. Those are all under second line of defense. Para nang sa ganun, no, kahit napasok nila, na breach nila yung first line of defense mo, pagpunta nila doon, they will not have an easy access still, kasi meron ka pa rin mga second line of defense, no, such as yung doors, windows, etc. No? So kung gaano kalakas or gaano katibay ang first line of defense mo, dapat mas matibay na naman yung second line of defense mo, so that you will increase, of course, your security potential, no? Yung ability of your different security installations to protect the valuable things that you are protecting. So second line yan, mga doors, etc. Now, let's say for example that they were able to enter your house, no? Kasi napasok nila, nasira nila yung locks mo, no? Napasok nila yung bintana mo, no? They were able to have an access going inside your house, napasok nila yung bahay mo, and so on. Now, they will look for valuable things. Hanapin nila saan yung mga valuable things such as jewelries, cash, itong mga gadgets, something like that, and other valuable things within your property, no, doon sa loob ng bahay mo, no. So if, no, just in case, if you want to increase more, of course, the security level of your properties, no, dapat meron ka ding third line of defense, such as for example yung mga storage system mo, no, saan mo tinatago yung mga mahalagang bagay mo, no, kinakalat mo lang ba sa loob ng bahay nyo? Pag ganun, you don't have third line of defense, no. If you want to increase your security, of course, you should have the storage system, no. Ano ba yung mga storage system? Like for example, vaults, no, meron kang vault na kung saan doon nakalagay ng lahat ng jewelries, cash, and other valuable information or documents that you have, no? So that vault can be considered as a storage system, and that is considered as a third line of defense. Only after breaking through the third line of defense that they were able to access yung iyong property. No, parang ganun. That's the very concept, okay? So those are the different line of defense. First line being the barriers that you set, no, perimeter barriers that you set from your to your properties, no, in the surrounding of your properties. Then we have second line of defense, no, yung mga doors, windows, locks, no, and so on. The third line is also, of course, the different storage systems. Okay? And lastly, na pag-uusapan natin is no other than the principles of security. No? We have 3 principles of security. I believe in other references they have more. No? Pero I wanted to summarize, so I only put 3 principles. But this is the general principle of security already. So what are the principles, no, of security? First is that the type of access necessary will depend upon the numbers of variable factors. No? So in order for a person to have access to your properties, that depends upon different factors that are present within the area. Like for example, weather condition. Diba? You remember yung routine activity theory? No? If there are much more guardian within the environment, then definitely it will make the access to the valuable object, no, valuable properties, or to your person much riskier, no, than the natural one. So there are a lot of things that we should take into consideration with regards to security, no? Hindi yung one-sided view lang yung tinitignan natin. Think about the different possible factors, no? Kasi marami tayong mga factors that could make the access easy or make the access hard, no? So there are different or numbers of factors that are present in there. Another thing that we must remember is there is no impenetrable barrier, no? Wala tayong impenetrable barrier. Any or every barrier can be penetrated. So that's why when we are dealing or when we are trying to secure one property, no, or a person, no, we should provide an in-depth security. So in-depth security or in-depth barrier means barrier after barrier after barrier, no? Like for example, having a line of defense, 3 line of defense. Like for example, you have walls, no? Meron kang walls na ginawa pero yun na, no? Hindi ka na naglagay ng other types of line defense. Like naglagay ka ng walls pero yung loob ng bahay mo nakabukas na yung bintana, nakabukas na yung pintuan. So that is not a good security. Why? Because there's no impenetrable barrier. Kahit naman lagyan mo ng bakal na matutulis yung barrier mo, lagyan mo ng mga bubog, no, taasan mo yung wall mo, no, lagyan mo ng mga CCTV, no? If that's the only barrier that you have, then you are still at a potential risk, no, of having security breach. Kasi sabi nga natin, there's no impenetrable barrier. Even the hardest, no, even the most complicated barriers that could be installed, no, can still be penetrated by a motivated offender. Kung talagang they have planned for it, no, pinagplanuhan nila, then they will find vulnerabilities. Hanapin nila yung weaknesses ng installation na yan so that they can gain access. No? Di ba nga yung mga kulungan? Kulungan is one of the most secured places, no, dito na installation, buildings or institution dito sa ating bansa. No? But still, meron pa rin yung mga tao that they can be able to move out, no? Tatakas sila doon sa loob ng kulungan. So, ibig sabihin, all of the security that they created from within are broken. No? So, there is no impenetrable barrier. No? We should install barrier after barrier after barrier. Kasi nga, there are always the so-called vulnerabilities in every installation. No? Now, another thing that we must remember is each installation is different. Magkakaiba yan. If you are securing jails, no, that needs or that requires a different type of security approach. If you are securing malls, no, that needs another type of security approach. Personal properties, yung bahay mo, businesses, this all needs different type of security approach because each installation is different. Each personnel is different, each business is different, no? Each industries are different. So in dealing with security or in providing security, it must be made for the relevance, no, of that type of security approach to or in relation to the different installation or the business that you are protecting. Okay? So that is one of the recap that we will be having under security management. No? I hope I was able to impart some knowledge with regards to this topic. No? If you have a question, feel free to comment in the comment section. That's it for now. Thank you for listening, guys. See you on the next lecture. Bye-bye.